Hi, guys. Welcome to the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. We are here twice a week, every Monday and Friday, working at simplifying things in our lives just a little bit, one day at a time, one simple step at a time. I'm your host, Michelle Visser. How often do you mess up saying your name? I'm wondering. I don't know what I just said. My tongue has been twisted today. And I have had a frog in my throat all day, so I'm not quite sure how wonderfully I will get through this episode. But we're going to make a really good effort. We're going to make a really good effort to not give my amazing podcast editor too much work. Let me say that again. I'm your host, Michelle Visser, and I am really glad that you're here today. Um, this episode is it's a list of 11 things that you really should be doing right now to overall make a difference in your health, to improve your life. And some of them you might be surprised that they actually relate to your health. And some of them you're going to say, that's so easy, or I totally do that. And some of them, even if you don't do it, to add it in and to start doing it could literally take 30 seconds. Other ones, I'm not going to lie, are a lot more difficult. But know going into this list that there is a nice assortment and all of it is absolutely doable. And you also can decide just 5 or 6 of these things to focus on, or even just 1 or 2. I don't know why I said 5 or 6. I just randomly chose a number. I struggled with the number 11. I actually just sat down before recording and I thought, oh, I need to really look at this list. I need to make it 12 because 12 is a number that makes sense. Or I need to take one out because 10 is a really good number for a list, right? But the one thing, and you'll see as we get to it, that I could easily have taken out, very easily, I decided I didn't want to. I decided it needs to just be 11. So we're going to go with this, guys. So, number 1, exercise. Even if it is so simple, even if it is for just, I was going to say 15 minutes, but you know what? It could even just be 10 minutes a day when you start off, if you're currently not exercising at all, as long as it's a routine, as long as it's something you're doing daily. And it can be super simple. You guys know I've told you this before. From my experience, it needs to be something you really enjoy if you're going to stick with it. So find something easy, something you enjoy, something that you can do for just 10 minutes every single day, and add exercise to your day. Or if you're currently only exercising a few times a week, think of something you can do for just 10 minutes that you can literally do daily, whether it's a really simple 10-minute exercise video, whether it's a really simple hand weights kind of strength training you can do. I mean, I'm talking simple, guys, like squats and bicep curls. I mean, it can be really simple, trust me, but it makes a huge overall difference and impact. For me, the one simple thing that I mean, you know what though? I'll be honest, I'm not great at this. But most days, almost every day, because the dogs will make sure I know it if I don't, I take the dogs for a walk. The walk will vary for my own sanity and depending on, what the day is like. Well, it depends on a lot of different things, what kind of walk I take them on. Sometimes it could be a hike that we're hopping in the car and we're doing a 45-minute hike and then driving home. Often it's just a walk through the woods that takes like 8 minutes, right, on a path behind our house. Often it's just a walk down the road, down to the park and back, so it can vary, but yet be the same, if that makes sense. But pick something and stick to it. By the way, before we go any further, I do want to tell you there are, is it 2? Yes, 2. There are 2 things on my list that I am not currently doing on a regular basis. And I will tell you at the end what 2 things they are because I want you guys to hold me accountable because I need to start doing these 2 things. And there is one thing that actually is brand new to me. So you can almost say there are 3 things I'm not doing because I'm not really in a great routine of this thing yet. So I'll tell you that at the end. Okay. So stick with me and know that I am not sitting here preaching to you that these are the 11 things that I do every day because I'm not doing all of these every day. but they're the things that I know I should be doing every day, and I am going to make a priority in my life for my own health and nutrition and overall well-being and happiness. Okay, so that was one exercise. Number two, read. It seems really simple, but I think in today's world, we don't do this. A lot of us. Like, I'm talking, by the way, something that's real and printed in your hand on paper. Like that thing called a book. I'm talking about the real thing. I'm not talking about scrolling through Instagram. That does not count. But those who, I read this statistic, who read, um, this is funny. I don't know if it's true, but I figured I'd share it. Those who read 7 or more books a year, according to some study. I don't have the specifics for you because I wherever I read it, they didn't even give me the specifics. So this might be hogwash, but it's an interesting idea. Those who read 7 or more books a year are more than 122% more likely. So they're more than 122% more likely to be millionaires compared to those who read less than 7 books a year. I don't know. If you guys decide to challenge yourself that you want to be a millionaire and you want to make sure you read 7 books this year, get back to me this time next year and let me know if you're rolling in the dough. But the truth is, the reality, there is actually a study that I can tell you from 2013 that showed that reading improves brain function and memory. And it helps your brain stay sharp as you get older. Y'all know my last episode, if you listen regularly, was about me turning 55 and what I've learned in the process. And I know this is something I need. I know I see my brain being a little more foggy, a little just not as sharp. And that's a problem. And I need to be doing a couple different things, but one of them is reading to help my brain stay sharp. But anyway, this study in 2013 found that the more immersed readers became in a story, the more areas of their brain were activated. So it's not just reading, that book that's laying on the coffee table because, oh, Michelle mentioned it would be good to read. I'm going to read half a page from this book that I don't even care about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something you really enjoy. For me, it's historical fiction, a really well written, good historical fiction novel. But if you get immersed in that, your brain is literally acting up. It's like sending signals out like crazy. And this activity in the study they showed this is fascinating, remained elevated for days after the book had been finished. The brain activity was still elevated because they were enjoying getting lost in that story so much. And it was setting up connections in their brain. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's amazing. And I love reading. Why don't I do it more? It's because I'm too focused on work sometimes, or I want to take the easy way out and scroll my phone. Or usually for me in the evening, what it is I want to just sit down and stare at the TV and watch one of our favorite shows and not think about a thing and maybe laugh a little. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I really love reading and I just sacrifice it for what seems easier, I think. Also, reading, it helps you learn new things, right? By what you're actually reading about. Like in historical fiction, I'm learning about other time periods and learning cool things I didn't even know. But reading also helps us remember better and it helps us be more focused throughout the day. Um, and it helps us analyze problems. Like, not only does it increase our actual knowledge because of what we're taking in, but it gives us a better fluid intelligence, which means it's giving us this ability to truly understand things, like analyze things on a deeper level because we're reading. So it's a really good thing. Third thing, this one I love, been doing ever since I was a mom with young kids, actually. Number 3, wake up early. Most successful people, it's just a fact, wake up earlier. They don't roll out of bed, do what they need to do to rush out the door and go to work. Most successful people give themselves time in the morning to either plan their day out, plan their week or their month out, or to do some of these things we're talking about today, things that they know they need for their overall well being. They allow time for that in the morning. Now, as a believer, I absolutely would argue you should start your day with scripture. You should start your day being in God's word. And it really makes a difference. It's amazing. It really does. So wake up early and use that time well. Number 4, make your bed. Did you know that people who make their bed in the morning are up to 200+% more likely to be millionaires? Again, same thing I was reading from before about millionaires. Don't know if it's true, but it's fascinating, isn't it? Wow. So guys, reading some books and making your bed, you don't know where you'll be financially in another year. And you can say all of it stemmed back to the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast that changed your life and made you a millionaire. Of course, I'm kidding. But I think there's something to this. I do think that act of control, that act of organization, and then the act when you're coming back into the room later of feeling more restful, more at peace because the bed's made, things are picked up. There's something to it. It does help you succeed in some way. And then, that tiny little victory of, okay, I did this before I started my day. I did this one little thing. It's a little victory that sets you up for bigger victories throughout the day, I think. Number 5, sweat. I know I already talked about exercise. And this is that thing that I knew I was telling you when we started. I could easily just take this one thing off if I wanted to have my nice number of 10. But I decided I really didn't want to because they're two different things. The exercise I was talking about earlier is just getting your body moving and having a routine that you're making sure you're using your muscles, you're exercising, you're getting fresh air. This is different. I really, really see a difference in myself when I make myself sweat. And I honestly, I think there's two kinds of people in the world. I think there's those people who just sweat profusely, like they barely do anything and they have sweat just dripping down them. That would be Bill. That would be my husband. And then there's people who literally are struggling to get up that hill on the hike they're on or whatever it is, but they're not sweating. That's me. I don't know. For some reason, I don't know. I can be at the gym and doing a lot of different things and I don't sweat, but there is one thing at the gym that always makes me sweat. And I make sure that every time I am at the gym, which is only 2 times a week typically, on a really, really good week, maybe 3. Sometimes on a bad week, once or not at all. But typically 2 times a week, I'll go to the gym with my daughter. And I never go. I don't think I've ever actually, from the beginning when we started our membership, never go without spending time on the elliptical because that makes me sweat. And it's the one thing I have found there that makes me sweat that I enjoy, if that makes sense. The Stairmaster will also almost always make me sweat, but I don't really enjoy it. There's a couple things about the Stairmaster I am just not crazy about. But the elliptical, I mean, I kind of hate it sometimes. I'm not going to stand here. I'm sitting. Why did I say stand? I'm not going to sit here and say, I love the elliptical. I'm addicted to doing. No, that's not the case. But in the end, I don't think I've ever gotten to my time being done on the elliptical and gone, darn it, I can't stand that I did that. I wish I hadn't did that. Like that's never happened. There are some machines at the gym I would say that about for sure. Um, but when I get to the end, usually it's just 10 minutes, but I make sure to have at least 2, usually 3 or 4 times in that 10 minutes that I'm elevating my heart rate and I am making it more difficult for myself. And by the end of that 10 minutes, my face is red and I am sweating and you feel different. You absolutely do. Not only because of what you accomplished, you set this goal 10 minutes on the elliptical and you did it, but your body just feels good. And I think it's because one thing is you're getting rid of toxins. There aren't a lot of things we can do to easily detox our body, but sweating is a pretty easy thing to do that we know gets rid of toxins. Also, we know that it reduces our stress. It reduces our anxiety. It helps reduce our cortisol, which is a problem for a woman in menopause. You always have high levels of cortisol. Um, and it reduces those things. Just, it does. It's amazing. And I think that's because it's releasing endorphins. Endorphins are neurotransmitters that are known to improve our mood. And they also, by the way, are known to be a natural painkiller, which I think is fascinating how God would design that when you're doing something that could potentially, make your muscles hurt, you're also getting endorphins that's making that are painkillers, which is crazy. But there's other things too. I mean, it lowers your risk of things like kidney stones because you're sweating, and it prevents things like colds and other illnesses. It improves your immunity when you're sweating. And this is not something I've worried about in probably 3 decades, but I will just say sweating does absolutely help with any acne. It gets rid of your zits on your face and other places of your body because you're sweating out that dirt from your pores. So lots of good reasons to sweat. And I see it as very different than exercise. And I do not sweat daily. I don't. But when I'm at the gym, I make sure I sweat. Okay. Number 6, prioritize relationships. And honestly, this probably should have been first. I also should have told you this is a completely random list that I literally sat down and typed up in Google Drive on like it's just me and what's in my head right now. And probably tomorrow it would maybe be a few different things on my list. But I also did not try to put it in any certain order. I thought about it and I was like, that would be copying and pasting and moving things all around. And the order doesn't really matter because all of these things kind of mesh together, right? And they all kind of impact the other thing in some ways, like the getting up early and the making the bed. Those mesh together, right? Like if you get up early, you have another extra 40 seconds to throw the pillows on and pull up the covers. So anyway, all that to say, this is random. And probably number 6 is number 1 as far as what's most important. Prioritizing relationships. We were made to be relational from the very beginning of creation. We are relational. We were made to be in a relationship with others. We were made to have a significant other in most cases. I mean, that's typically the case. And we were made to be in a relationship with our creator. We are relational. It is just what we are. So of course, healthy relationships literally impact our health. And I didn't mean to say the word health twice, but how else could I have said that? Strong relationships, good relationships can improve our health. That's how I could have said it, I guess. They help us recover from illness. Some studies show that having solid, strong, close relationships tend to lead to a longer life. I'm not sure how a study can necessarily show that, but, um, and this was an actual study that I think is really neat. Long-term partners who have had heart surgery are 3 times more likely to survive the first 3 months after their surgery if they have a close person that they are in a relationship with. And I mean, typically that would be a spouse, but 3 times more likely. That's amazing. And it reduces our stress when we have somebody that we know is caring about us. Being in a committed relationship also reduces the production of cortisol, those stress hormones that lead to so many health problems, and it gives us a real sense of purpose. I think maybe the biggest thing, honestly, is being in a solid relationship reminds us that we are not the center of the universe. I know when my kids were little, I'd have to remind them all the time, it's not all about you. You are not the center of everything. You're not. Um, get your focus off of yourself. Care about others. Look who's around you. Look who needs help. Think about what you can do today to improve someone else's life because it's not all about you. But the great thing is when we do those things, it helps us as well, right? It does improve our health. It improves our outlook. It gives us a better quality to our day. So relationships, guys, they're key and we need to prioritize them. I'm pausing this episode really quickly to ask you if you are in need of some delicious, refreshing summer drinks. Are you tired of the same old, same old? And are you tired of it being so hard to find a healthy drink option that you love because they have artificial flavors, artificial colors, all that refined sugar that you do not need? I have a solution for you. Go to solelyrested.com/summer drink. I think you're going to love what I have brewing for you there. I'm going to be adding to it all summer long, and I'm going to be sharing lots of recipes that you can use only the best ingredients. You can save so much money by making these drinks yourself. And, well, I even have a discount code waiting for you on my absolute favorite teas that I will use in all different ways in all of these different drinks. So go check out solelyrested.com/summer drink, grab that discount code, and start diving into these delicious recipes. solelyrested.com/summer drink. I think you're going to find it deliciously refreshing. Number 7, make goals and have a plan. A calendar is so important. And actually, back in season 5, episode 2, I think it was called the number one thing I did to improve my health. And what it was really ultimately about was how I lost weight using a calendar as one of my tools. It's pretty interesting and it made a huge difference. It's very simple, but it made a huge difference. So if you want to know more about that, again, season 5, episode 2, go take a listen. But it doesn't have to be like necessarily a calendar kind of planning thing. I'm talking about just get good at pushing yourself to do something that's out of your comfort zone, that's harder. Set a goal and know this is going to be really hard. And I might not get to this goal for an hour or for a week, or maybe it's a goal you're not going to get to for years, but set the goal and keep working towards it. Um, and remind yourself that it helps us. I think it really helps us when we remind ourselves, I can do this. I can do the hard things and do that when life is good. And when the hard thing is not like, I don't know, your life's not depending on it. It's just, it'd be good to do. And then when the really hard things come, when life does get really hard, I think you've already built up a system in yourself and in your brain that you know, I can do hard things. I can do this, right? So, something as simple as the elliptical that I was telling you about, I have gotten to the point that I can do a 10-minute mile because I kept setting goals toward that. And little by little, it probably took me, I don't know, 6 weeks of goals until I got to the point that I can routinely do a mile in 10 minutes. And one time when I was feeling great, it was probably 6 months ago at this point, I did a 7-minute mile. So I know I can do it. And I'm going to start working back towards that. So keep setting goals, keep doing the hard things. It's so good for you guys. It's so good for us. Um, Number 8, give yourself and others grace. Now, these two things do go hand in hand, and I did put these in order for a reason because today at the gym, I did 0.97 of a mile at the 10-minute mark. And when I was almost to the 10-minute mark, I was like 20 seconds out. And I thought, I have a choice right now. If I push really, really hard, and I don't even know if I have it in me at this point, but if I do, maybe I can meet the 10-minute 1 mile goal. But I knew that what I had already done was huge for me. I was sick all last week. This week it was just a bad week overall. And what I had done was good. It was really good. And I was okay with that. And I gave myself grace. And the great thing is because I gave myself grace and I started slowing down and I thought it's fine for the 10-minute mark to come and go. And I'm not going to be at my mile yet. Because I did that, because I gave myself grace, I wound up going on the elliptical for 11 minutes, which I actually don't know if I've ever done because I get sick of it and I set that goal of 10 minutes and I know I'm going to move on to something else. And it felt really good to do 11 minutes on the elliptical. So give yourself grace. And I'm not just talking about at the gym, guys. I think this analogy is something you understand what I'm saying. You can use this in all forms of life that when you give yourself grace, it really does often lead to something even better. So push yourself, set goals, know you can do the hard thing, but also give yourself grace and be proud of the accomplishments that you do make and thankful for them. Number 9, memorize. For me as a Christian, this means memorizing scripture, God's word, putting it in my mind and hiding it in my heart. But all memorization is so good for brain health. I'm going to tell you 2 reasons why, and hopefully this will convince you to get yourself some index cards, tape either some quotes or some Bible verses or whatever is important to you, and around the house in places that you spend a few minutes, like by the kitchen sink if you're washing dishes, on the bathroom mirror if you're brushing your teeth, and put this quote or these Bible verses that are important to you to memory. And here's why. Number 1 is neural plasticity. Guys, memorization stimulates the plastic nature of your brain, the neural plasticity, which is when the brain's neural pathways change and grow in response to new experiences. This literally helps prevent cognitive decline. It prevents it. When we memorize things, we prevent our brain from having decline. That's pretty amazing. Also, it gives us focus and it helps us pay closer attention. Somebody who is the person in the room who tends to not notice the important details, that would be me, this is a big deal. It actually helps us notice details more. It strengthens our ability to focus and to truly have attention to detail. So I hope you go out and start memorizing something. If you want to know some of my favorite verses that I have committed to memory, just reach out to me and I will give you some great ones to start with. Okay, number 10, protein. Protein is a vital macronutrient, guys. It is literally the building block for our muscles, for our bones, for our blood and our skin and our cartilage. All of those things can't grow, can't build, can't replace old dead versions of themselves without protein. It is necessary for almost every single physiological function of our body, and it is absolutely necessary if we're going to have energy. And energy, of course, is pretty important every day. So you have to get protein. In a very simple way, if you're wondering how much, take your weight and multiply it by 0.36. And that is roughly how many grams of protein you should try to get in your day. Try and space it out if you can throughout the day, ideally at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I actually, you know what? I have a whole series about this. So I'm going to leave this at that. And I'm going to tell you to see the link in the show notes or just go over to my YouTube. And there's a whole series, there's a whole playlist I have there where I saved up a series of lives I did all about this very topic, all about protein, why it's important, how to get more in your diet, and etc. So you might be interested in that. If you'd like me to do some podcast episodes on this very topic, that might be fun. Let me know. Number 11, our last one, improve your gut health. We have done some podcast episodes on this, and this is so important because poor gut health impacts so many parts of our overall health. And it makes sense because 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut. 70%. And a well-balanced gut and all of those bacteria and fungus and protozoa that are living there, if they are well balanced, then that's going to be so important. It's going to play a major role in keeping our immune system strong and helping our bodies be fit and able to drive off any harmful bacteria and to fight viruses, fight colds, and stay healthy. And it all comes down to gut health. So check out my Kombucha Academy because that is what I did to improve my gut health in ways I never would have been able to without kombucha. It has been amazing. The differences that I've seen. It's just, I could talk on and on. In fact, maybe I should do more episodes about kombucha. I think I've done some. I think I'd have to look. So yeah, let me know if you guys would like some episodes about that, about more about gut health and how to reduce inflammation because of our gut health. Okay, so that's it, except I did promise you I would tell you some of these things I do not do at all, and I am going to start, and something is new to me. The thing that's new to me is protein. It's only been a few months now that I've really been working at increasing my protein. And go check out that series I mentioned to find out why this was so important to me. And I'm still working at this. Not great. Some days I do not eat enough protein, but I'm getting better. And the things I'm not doing at all currently that I really am going, I'm telling you guys right now, you are my witnesses. I am going to start. You ready for this? I think some people might be surprised, even people that know me, because somehow people think I'm really organized. And I don't know why I give people that impression, because in some ways I'm not organized at all. I don't know why I just whispered that. I'm going to say it again. I am not organized at all. um, I don't make my bed in the morning. There you go. I said it. I don't make my bed in the morning. Some days I don't make the bed for 3, 4, 5 days. Usually before I get in it, I will straighten out the covers. And I'm always like, why didn't I just do this in the morning? I'm doing it now at night. Why didn't I just do it in the morning? So I'm going to start. I am going to start making my bed in the morning because I know it's good for me. And I do not work on memorizing things on a regular basis. I certainly have in the course of my life, absolutely. And when I told you about the Bible verses sticking in the different places, that is my number one way to memorize. But I'm not doing it right now, and I need to be. So I'm going to get back into it. So there you go. Why don't you go leave a comment for me over on your favorite place to listen, over on Apple Podcast or on Spotify, or reach out to me on Instagram and let me know what you're going to work on, 1 or 2 things, and maybe we can hold each other accountable. What do you think? Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for listening, friends. Remember, it is so easy to forget how blessed we are to live this life. So enjoy the simple, everyday efforts. I know it's not easy, but it's a good life.